Alright, it is time for the final day of our War Machine Zero. So, we are OP10. I have gone ahead and bumped up a lot of our equipment. I've also grabbed some equipment, like the Godfinger here, which does this, by the way, which is absolutely insane. Um, we'll see how that compares to something like using the Hawkeye, which is just a ton of initial damage, but will consume all of our ammo. So, if it's more efficient to use a Godfinger and just kind of do that to people, we'll probably be doing that, absolutely. And also, we have our final set of patch notes. I'll keep it brief, because there's a lot of them. Hyperfocus got a nerf. Also, it got a nerf to its duration. So now instead of 17 seconds and like 0.7% damage per stack, it's 13 seconds and 0.4. That's still pretty strong. Kill confirm mag size penalty scales with each level instead of being a fixed number now. So that at level 1, no clue, probably 3%, so minus 3% per level, I'm assuming. So that's not too bad either. Buff Like the Wind's level 5 healing from 1.7% to 5%, or to 2%, so a little extra healing on sprint at max level there. Gave Ghost of Deception class mod more spice. Uh, you will become extremely fragile, reduces weapon zoom magnification by 60%, and fight for your lifetime by 25%. Okay, so a little more threatening to try to use that now. Got it. Marksman class mod projectile speed from 10,000% to 5,000%. I'm still opposed to this. If you give a rocket launcher more than like even 500% projectile speed, it's just not going to be trackable at all. And like, I respect that they want it to be like an instant hit scan thing, but if a mob is too small, you'll just clip right through through the boy without even dealing damage at all. So, not a personal big fan of that, but whatever, I guess. Added a new level 5 bonus for fast hands. Hands so fast it doesn't do anything. Yeah, at level 5 it just gives a little extra fire rate. Rebalancing, a little bit of stuff with Hatterax. Rebalance the Bad Connection, which is a nerf. Rebalance the Terra Shield, which is probably also a nerf, although I haven't noticed the nerf. Because, hold on, if I go ahead and strip shield, and then I shoot, we can see this is still 6 projectiles per shot. So, this is still definitely a lot. So not sure what the nerf is there. Maybe it was just a nerf to its, like, amp damage or its roid damage or something. Not really sure. Rebalanced evolution, slow time effect damage, fair. Rebalanced Minesweeper and Avenger, we've not even used those and probably won't, so oh well. They've added a mod that allows you to hold pickup to collect all of the Iridium in Fight for Sanctuary DLC, because I mentioned it while I was playing casually and actually got the mod dev hooked up with Pawn who made a Zer0 to get that in here. Added a couple of weapons to the legendary pool so that they can now world drop so that you have a higher chance of finding stuff. And then apparently just a little bit of leftover Gauge and Maya code cleanup. So cool. Okay. Now with that done, let's go ahead and get a move on to our builds and stuff that we're running today. So, in general, for gun build stuff, I'm probably just going to use this exact build. I don't think I'm going to change it because I don't think you really need to change it much at this point. Only change would maybe be taking points out of Kill Confirm because they can tank our mag size really fast, but I also find it really nice because that's a ton of extra damage while zoomed. And then velocity could be inconvenient if you're using a projectile splitting weapon, like the conference call having its pellets spawn really far out. That's really inconvenient, but like, you know, we're gonna only use this for like Terra, maybe. So not too worried about it. That should be fine for right now. Yeah, we'll do a sniper build. We'll do an amp shield build, which will just be running an amp shield plus anything that's good with an amp shield. Legendary Hunter, I don't really know. This was just a nice early game class mod, which had insane infinite ammo viability until it got stripped of its infinite ammo name. Still would appreciate if it gave like 2 or 3 seconds of infinite ammo on action skill pop so that you could try to use it for a little bit. But also, I understand that's hard to balance, so whatever, it is what it is. The melee build, of course. Terra's combo pack, which gives bullet reflect and chance to ignite enemies on fire. Maybe a tank build with like antagonist or something, or just keep a Height of Terra on for the damage there for healing. And then, like, we have a couple other things we can throw in. Black Hole, which can roll shock immune, so you can have 2 immune shields. Black Hole could drop down our shield recharge delay for an amp shield or the antagonist to make this basically permanently active. So, you know, permanently active antagonist plus Terra's combo pack could be pretty funny. Slap on a B shield, it reduces that a decent amount still as well. So that's probably going to be a thing that we test out today. I'm currently running Chain Lightning because in this mod it requires a full shield to use, and then if you use it, it strips the shield. So you can actually use it as a shield stripping mechanism without pointing it at yourself. It's pretty darn convenient for breaking our Height of Terra that we have. So absolutely that will be super duper nice. And then I don't really have a use for Ghost of Deception. I'll just go ahead and note here, hey, this thing is really fun for running around. While you're invisible, you just move really stupidly fast. The buff to follow through gives you even more movement speed. And a Grim can be kind of funny for shotgun projectiles, or just to put 1 point into it and let the class mod carry it all the way up to level 5, so that you can get all of your additional +1 projectiles, because you unlock 1 per level. So that could be pretty nice too if you want to do that. And now we get to talk about our Legendary Sniper build. So, for this, I'm running Legendary Sniper. Who would have guessed? Lucrative opportunity for ammo regen in case I want to use Hawkeye, so I can actually, like, you know, keep using snipers after I shoot it. Evolution, of course, would be like my second pick. Maybe a bone afterwards for cooldown could be nice as well. And then the Chain Lightning to keep our hide down for the extra projectile count. I could use an amp shield for specific weapons, like the Godfinger here, which does increase pellet count, or have unlisted pellets rather. So that, you know, we'll see how we get along with that. I've also kind of noticed that my game is really sad and is hitching a lot today. Don't know if that's related to the beta patch or anything like that, so we'll kind of just have to see. We're going to try to use Hawkeye here at OP10, see if it does a ton of damage. We can try Skull Masher because that put in good work yesterday. The Invader kind of just is here. I probably won't use it, but it exists. And then I found out the Amigo Sincero in this mod, it does this. It shoots rockets that spawn like little fireworks, so maybe add clear stuff. Let's go to Bloodshot. Okay, so go ahead and pop Invis, strip shield. Okay, it's really funny, but I don't know about, yeah, it does friendly fire damage. Okay. So I don't know about actually trying to use that. It did also give us a Norfleet, and then I bumped up our Tunguska. If we need a second wind weapon, we can try those. And then honestly, everything else, sniper-wise, I kind of just want to test on, like, Terra. Okay, that man's gone. Maybe after building up enough stacks of CA, you could just use Amigo for your ad clear anyway. But for right now, I don't know. It is pretty funny, though. Also, yeah, gotta make sure I keep my shield stripped for the maximum tomfoolery here. I think that Godfinger will be better for long-range encounters than whatever we're doing right here. Still don't know if I want to run Godfinger with the Height of Terra for the extra projectiles, because it's a lot, or if I want to run it with an amp shield, because amp stuff is pretty nice too. So we'll see what we do. Someone asked me to check if the Cobra is different. So So we're gonna find out real quick. Let's see. Bullet deals explosive damage out of nowhere and even bigger blast. Okay, no self-damage. Really strong. Ooh, and it's transfusions. Ooh, wait. Okay. Hold on, this could be pretty funny. Okay. You know, I was gonna sleep on the Cobra and just not use it today. But that's pretty good. Alright. Hello, Terra. Okay, that's actually decent damage for being at OP10, though, to be fair. Interesting note, we do have an insane amount of stacks of CA already. So let's go ahead and just kind of do that. That was not worth it at all. Okay. So Hawkeye may not be as insane of a move here at this level. Totally fair. Let me just put on Skull Masher. I'm going to put on B Shield, and we're going to see what we can do here for our Godfinger. Okay, yeah. It looks like this is actually the move for just running Godfinger is probably still to use an Amp Shield. Yeah, okay. So definitely just use Godfinger with an Amp Shield. That's definitely just a better life choice for yourself. Interesting. Huh. This almost makes me wonder if the Height of Terra now nerfs gun damage alongside its pellet multiplication. I can't, like, confirm or deny that. But there you go. Yeah, it does seem like Godfinger is stacking up Critical Ascension really, really quickly. We're at 734 stacks, and kind of just not stacking, more of just dumping bullets at the enemy. Not really aiming too hard. So, interesting. Let me spawn another. Yeah, like, we're basically at max stacks just from tomfoolery. Okay, I was kind of hoping that I could get transfusion trails back really fast. I don't know why I thought I could pull that off. Legendary killer seems pretty, or legendary killer, legendary sniper seems pretty darn good. Looks like both our mobbing and our bossing is absolutely covered. So if you can get your hands on them, Cobra and Godfinger absolutely would be a move. If not, Skull Masher still seems to be a pretty good budget option. Hawkeye as well seems to be a pretty good budget option. Of course, you know, you have to fight Vora for that. So maybe just use Skull Masher until you can get your hands onto a Godfinger or a Cobra. Actually, I guess before we move on from the sniper, we can go ahead and try out an Infinity. Because this does buff one shot. And we'll definitely stack at least a good amount of CA this way. So maybe this is good too. And then there is a debate for whether or not I should use the Height of Terra or not. You either increase pellet count by 5, so 6 times damage, or you just put a big old damage modifier on top, which is actually equivalent to times 6, almost. And then you put another % on top of that. I just talked myself into using the B shield again, effectively. Oh, right. Maybe don't spec the funny burst firewall zoomed skill if you're doing this. Hold on. Okay, so Unforeseen still does funny eyeball destruction. but... Okay. Okay, so maybe this is not as OP as our sniper is, but like, you know, it's infinite damage, and infinite damage is infinite, so eventually you'll win. There's no ammo cost involved. For mobbing, it might be kind of chill. It's probably not because you have no healing holding this, but like, you know, it might be kind of chill. I kind of doubt it though. But there you go, Infinity Gaming. Okay, so now Legendary Killer. Crit, amp damage, shield stuff, shock damage for unforeseen, rank 30 unforeseen. Yeah, this would just be my amp shield thing, which is kind of funny because it buffs velocity, and velocity is the downfall of a lot of split pellet weapons, which you normally use with amp shields. So, kind of probably wouldn't want to spec that, not gonna lie. But still, we can kind of see how we feel about it. Once again, Godfinger would work, Becca would work. Anything that has unlisted pellets or just delivers their pellets really, really quickly would be pretty funny for this. The Hive could be kind of funny for this with Drunk Effect, maybe. Okay, hold on. Well, this is unfortunate. Okay, it's a pretty good start. I feel like I can do better. I don't know how, but I bet I can. Crunchy. That's a pretty respectable start, I'd say. Okay. Well, 5 drunk effects and a hive dump didn't quite do it. Let's just send it home. Well, you know, funny drunk effect to hive stuff. Pretty good. Turns out, who would have guessed? Of course, we're not taking advantage of the fact that we have a crit build or we have unforeseen or anything. But, I mean, it's funny. That's all there really is to add to it. I guess maybe you could shoot with a sniper on for one shot for the initial shot, and then swap over after. I don't know how that works, if that works at all with the hive, but that's potential, maybe, possibly. I also didn't really use the Pimpernel, which, like, probably should have used for sniper build, but it's also decent with amp builds, so hold on. Maybe make this fire real quick. Don't mind me. Yeah. Like, that's still good. Probably would be better with the sniper build, though, of course. But okay. There you go. Alright, let's go do some mobbing with this, though. Because I feel like that should feel kind of fun. Maybe ambush stuff will feel nice, or unforeseen stuff will feel nice. I don't know how I feel about the solution to not having enough unforeseen damage was to add more skill points to it instead of, like, just buffing the skill. I guess it's probably too OP early game to just over buff it. But, like, if this is... yeah, that's all the damage it does to basic nomads at OP10. I mean, I guess it shouldn't probably one-shot things, but at the same time, this is a basic boy. I don't know. I feel like we just have so many other damage options that would melt a guy compared to that, for the fact that it has 29 skill points in it. So I probably won't try to use it for an unforeseen kill or anything. But yeah, we'll do a little bit of mobbing. Okay. I mean, the Butcher feels good. I don't know if I can accredit that to the build, but the Butcher feels nice. I feel like having amp like centric stuff definitely leans me more towards raiding with this class mod though, because you know amp shields in normal combat it's kind of rough, kind of hard to keep them topped off for the most part. So probably wouldn't end up using this too much for mobbing compared to just doing legendary sniper about it, or honestly even just pulling out that Tunguska we got earlier. Maybe even trying to use this with the Hide of Terra instead of using it with, you know, the B shield that we had on. If someone could ever so kindly just pop my shield, thank you. Yep, this is my mobbing tool. I mean, the Norfleet exists, and I'm sure the Norfleet still does good work. But, you know, that's just not as much pellet multiplication as just doing this. So I think that this just kind of wins for me for the hilarity of it. But yeah, Legendary Killer, probably a raid bossing thing, or just anything that doesn't actually fight back that well. Because I just have trouble keeping amp shields up. And then I guess Unforeseen is just kind of nice supplemental damage. That's about all I can really accredit to this, though. Alright, Legendary Hunter, using Deception gives you 10% health back. Activating Deception removes weapon recoil, which it's nice, that's convenient. Melee damage is increased by 30%. You get that crit, you get the cooldown, you get the reload speed. Plus to a couple of pretty nice skills early game. Especially just like the wind, not having a trigger requirement besides just walking is good. Fast hands for the reload and weapon swap. Like, this is just a bunch of good early game buffs to have more than anything, I think, personally. It's just like convenient stuff. And I will always be a sucker for swap speed on Zer0 and Axton builds. So, like, yeah, this is just kind of a general catch-all class mod, I think. Not super strong at anything, kind of just early game jack-of-all-trades type of stuff going on here. You can poke a dude. Okay, maybe the poking dude stuff isn't as strong. Then again, I'm not wearing a full melee spec, and it's OP10, so, like, you know, fair enough. At the same time, but yeah, you can actually respectively poke dudes, and then you can just immediately swap over to just shooting dudes too, if you have the equipment on, and aren't like me, who just runs into combat with no actual good second wind or fighting weapons on. Like the Butcher. Butcher kinda silly. Butcher's kinda really silly in this mod. Wait a minute. That's nice. Okay, but yeah, mixed combat, Legendary Hunter, good for early game. Just nice buffs overall. Terra's combo pack, I am just going to be the man that wears 3 shields right now. We're going to take advantage of the movement speed, advantage of the extra deflect chance, the damage resistance, and then, I mean, lighting enemies on fire is kind of useful with the melee. I can hold a grog and do that, but it only really applies to the base melee currently. If you use a melee attachment or even execute, it doesn't really seem to want to apply the fire. You'd probably try to use Terra's combo pack with like a weird melee build in the middle of the game, I guess. But I'm going to use it with an antagonist because that's funny. I was going to wear an evolution with this build, but I think genuinely if I just don't do that, wear a bone, I guess, for cooldown and fire damage, and then just wear a black hole for the 0-second recharge delay, I'm probably just thick, by theory at least. Right? I just smack a dude, light him on fire. I get shot a couple times. No one knows how to shoot me, so I guess I should just go to, like, somewhere else and test out my tankiness, I guess. Yeah, let's just go, like, to, I don't even know, Sawtooth? Just go mess around in Sawtooth and be thick. Alright, let's just go ahead and light a dude on fire. Let's run over here. Pop a couple dudes, just with a little bit of tag. Light that guy on fire. I mean, yeah, this is just thick. I'm just super duper thick. And of course, I could actually be, like, dealing my own damage and stuff. But, I mean, we got a lot of dudes mad at us. As long as I maintain some amount of fire on enemies, I'm kind of just staying alive. If the shield fully breaks after a full replenish, we do also just pull enemies in with black hole, so that's funny. And then I'd still have invis. I can still go invisible. The Grog itself actually does pretty reasonable damage as well. So, like, you know, actually just Grog gameplay is not that bad. I don't think you can reflect kill with this, don't get me wrong. I don't think that, like, you don't have a 100% chance. It's 50% deflect here, and then an extra 30% here. So, not trustworthy odds at all. You probably would not even attempt to do that. And also, you know, Zer0 has Boar, so, like, it'd be kind of silly to try to do that, because I'd rather just Boar stuff. But, like, yeah, you're thick. And the enemies actually kind of damage themselves a little bit, which is funny, too. Here, and just for the sake of testing it, let's test out the fire damage with an actual, like, amp or a melee shield on. A respectable dot. It's not a full melee build. And actually, it might stack hyper focus. Alright, proper melee spec on now. Hold on, I actually want to drop invis. Okay, the fire ticks are definitely stacking hyper focus. Wait, could this be a tanky raid bosser? Because, hold on, hear me out. It's not as much damage as a legendary ninja. Absolutely, it's not. With the amount of buffs that you get over here, with hyper focus being buffed and stuff like that, it's just not going to compete. But the fire tick, while holding a grog, while stacking hyper focus, you could just do that. You just become ignorant to enemy damage, and you just hold the swing button. But we know how reflect kills work, and just kind of I guess. Oh, I guess I don't want shield regen. Hold on, let me take that off. Alright, light him on fire. Okay, maybe they don't like to light on fire that much. This might not be a Hyperius build. This might be more of just like a Terra build. Yeah, the problem is most raid bosses just wipe off dots really fast. Like, it's just built into what they are. So it's just difficult to keep them going. Honestly, just doing chain lightning is probably faster and just way better. But you can also do that with just a normal melee build. So it pulls away from the uniqueness a little bit. But yeah, maybe just for mobbing, you can just be a thick mobbing boy. Which is already kind of what I saw this as. But yeah, it's just the fact that bosses wipe off dots really fast in this game that just makes this not really an option, unfortunately. Because they resist the crap out of it. They clear them in like 2 or 3 seconds, especially in like UVHM. So it's just kind of just is how it is, unfortunately. Alright, and now we swap over to a more standard melee build with all of the stuff buffed that we want buffed. Would run a melee relic. Honestly, a cooldown relic will still be pretty nice. And then, yeah, we'll try to use Infinity to stack Hyperfocus with a shield strip from our... Well, from a stripped Height of Terra for the extra pellets. And then we'll go for pokes and stuff. Okay, we're at a little over 1,000 stacks of Hyperfocus, which are going away pretty fast. You know, for OP10 though, that's still like pretty respectable damage, you know? Alright, I'm gonna wait for shield. Hold on. Let me try to just get rid of Chief. Just kidding. Let me hold on to Chief. Alright, this is gonna hurt. There we go. Okay, so like that's actually pretty chill. Let's go fight the giant worm. Alright, Terra. Stack up Hyperfocus while riding the worm. Wait for the worm to come back and hope that we can keep up our stacks because they're gonna start going away. They're going away. Well, hold on, can I still get back up? Okay, I can still get back up. Huh. So, turns out our melee damage isn't as strong as our gun damage by a pretty respectable margin. It might be bad, though, to be fair. I think we can confirm that our melee is not as insane as our gun by any manner of comparison. Because comparing that to just shooting him, yeah, it turns out shooting him still just deals more damage. But, I mean, it's still strong. Up until OP10, we were doing great work with it, but yeah, it looks like guns just outperform at this point. Okay, well, there you go. Hey, so there we have it. Also, I'd like to point out the little bump damage that Terra does while tunneling is actually triggering the spike shield, by the way, so that's kind of funny. It's permanently lighting him on fire and trying to roll for hyperfocus. But I think that pretty well does it. There's not much else to really add to this. The snipers feel good, generic gun build feels good. Apparently the butcher is really strong in this mod. But we've kind of already tested everything, or have been testing everything just through the playthrough already. This has been a very fun mod. War Machine is always a good time. War Machine also always has very interactive mod dev who is very good at updating and fixing problems pretty fast. Like, insanely fast even sometimes. And it's just a great time. I think they only have one more character left to update, which is Salvador. So of course, whenever Sal gets an update, I will be in here trying to play it. I personally want to see a Salvador with a grenade build. He's the only character in the game that can throw 2 grenades at a time for the cost of 1. I want to see it. I really want to see a grenade Sal build. I think it'd be so funny. I know it's stupid and troll, but that would be a great time. But yeah, that does it for the character. Overall, very solid all around. had a couple of confusion points. This causes burst fire, so it not saying that it does burst fire, it confused me. It threw me for a loop. So that was odd for a second. We tried to do Bullet Trinity stuff, which Bullet Trinity is okay. It's an alright skill. It's not as insane now that we can't do infinite ammo bugs with it, of course, which, like, probably weren't meant to anyway. And I mean, that's pretty much it. Very good time. Day 9.